Hello, YGO-BRonzeMedal here, and today we're going to review the new mini box Dimension of the Wizards. Actually, I have really mixed feeling about this one, and mostly I think you shouldn't really buy this box because this feels like it's like a future investment, and most of the cards in this box is not gonna be meta relevant, unlike the other mini boxes. So without further ado, let's dive in. So mainly this box is going to introduce a new Madolche's core cards as well as the new Golden Castle Stormberg, the archetype of the fairy tales. These are the two things that actually worth in this box. Unless you are playing any of them, there's nothing that is actually worth it. Everything else is just skippable. As per usual, there's gonna be 3 ultra rare cards and 10 super rare cards. And unless you are playing the Madolches, most of the cards here are just actually skippable. So let's dive in. First off, we have the Arcanite Magician. I really like this card's design, but the effect is left wondering if it's good or not. I don't think that it's really worth making this card, because when this card is synchro summoned, you will gain 2 spell counters, and for each counter you will gain 1000 attack, and you can remove a spell counter on the field to target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. Note that this effect is not a hard once per turn, so you can wipe the board pretty clean if you have the right cards. But the problem is, let's be real, how are you going to summon this card? You need a level 4 Magician most likely and level 3 Tuner. There's just no reliable way to actually summon both onto the field at the same time, so for now and for the near future this card won't be able to see much play. Next up we have a Dimension Prison, one of the worst UR cards I have seen in a while, to be honest. So for some people, they really think that this card is worth investing on and they're gonna waste gem on it. Don't. This is one of the worst cards that I have seen in a long while. There are so many cards with similar effects here, and let's face it, this card is not gonna do anything that's meta relevant. First off, it's going to lose against Kwakimiru matchups. Vampires can just destroy back rows, Ancient Gears won't care about it, Buster Blader can just fuse their attacking monster so it negates the effect of the Dimension Prison. Karakuri may be slightly more useful, but they play Haste Grenades that has lots of draw power. Then Dinos is not gonna care about that card. Then we also have Lavos. Lavos, their boss monster cannot be targeted, so this card is even more worthless. Then we have Mass Change Heroes, so they can just use Mass Change and avoid the effect of the Dimension Prison. Then we also have the UA deck, which is really worthless at the moment, but even they have an out to this card. So this card is worthless of the worthless. Finally, a card that is slightly more interesting, Psychic Wielder. This card might actually see some play. So you can special summon this card from your hand if you control another level 3 monster, and if you use this card as a synchro material, you can destroy one card your opponent controls with attack less than the monster you synchro summon using this card. So what you want to go with is the HTS Psyhemoth. That way you can destroy 2 cards during your turn really easily. This card might actually see some play, it's the most interesting one out here. And that's all for the UR. To start with the SR cards, we have the Natural Landois. I think this card is actually pretty nice, but you have to send 1 spell card from your hand to the graveyard to activate his effect, which is to negate the activation of effect monsters and destroy them. I don't really think that the deck runs all that many spell cards to make this really relevant, but if you can get it onto the board, this card is a sure win against Kwakimiru. Next up we have Natural Mantis. I think this one is a pretty solid card. If you start off with this card, your opponent is forced to play around it, and this card might actually see much play because it just disables lots of OTK's combos. Next up on the list we have Defender the Magical Knight. I think this card will see a lot of play, especially in stall decks, just to annoy your opponent. So what it does is that when it's normal summoned, it gains a spell counter, and if a spellcaster monster on the field would be destroyed, you can just remove 1 spell counter on your side of the field instead. So already you guys can see why this card is going to be used in the install decks. And this card is also really good because it disables a lot of OTK decks. So there's not gonna be much OTK if you have this card on the field. Then next we have 2 Madolche SR cards. These cards are actually the core cards of Madolche. We have the Madolche Magellan and Madolche Hoodkick. So for Magellan, when this card is normal or flipped face up, you can search for a Madolche monster from your deck to your hand. And for the Hood Cake, this card is actually the XYZ enabler or the playmaker of the deck. So you can just remove one monster from your graveyard to special summon one Madolche. But the problem is XYZ is still not a thing, but if you are investing in XYZ or investing for the future and investing in Madolche specifically for when Queen is gonna be available, these two cards are the must and you need to play 3 of them each. Yeah, it's a really good card, but too bad XYZ summoning is still not a thing. Then we have the only trap card that is SR from this mini box, which is the Rocket Hand. I don't really think that this card is all that useful because there are just so many trap cards that is much more relevant than this one, but what it does is that it gives 800 attack to one of your monsters. Then you can send this card to the graveyard to destroy one card your opponent controls, but at the cost of your initial monster becoming 0 attack. So can it destroy your opponent monster? Yes, but it also makes one of your monsters useless, so there's the trade-off. I wouldn't really use this card either. Then yet we have some more cards that are even more skippable in this set. How is that even possible? The Gaia Knight, the Force of Earth. SR card, a vanilla monster, it does nothing. With a 2.6k attack points, that's it. Then we have Elemental Hero Ishikuri, another useless card. Even if I play heroes, I wouldn't really use this card because what it does is it's almost like a vanilla monster. For each Elemental Hero card in the graveyard, it gains 100 attack. Then we have Millennium-eyes Restrict. Without the rest of the Millennium-eyes archetype support, this card is useless, but I really like this card, so I'll just cut it some slack. But for now, it does absolutely nothing. It just does nothing, and it's really hard to get it out. You have to use Polymeration for it. Really disappointed. Then finally we have our last SR card, Glyph the Phantom Bird. So what this card does is that you can discard it from your hand to the graveyard to search for the Golden Castle of Stromberg. Really useful card, it searches for the key card of its archetype, and then when this card is normal summon or special summon, you can destroy one spell or trap on the field. Really useful card, but if you're not playing the Fairy Tail archetype, which I don't really think that is worth investing yet, then this card is actually not really all that useful. Speaking of the Golden Castle of Stromberg, I really like this card, but it has just so high of a maintenance cost, which in Duel Links is not playable because your deck is most likely going to be 20 cards and 30 cards at max. So let's go through its effect real quick. So once per turn you can special summon one monster from your deck that specifically lists the Golden Castle of Stromberg's name in its test. But if you do that, you cannot normal summon and set during the turn you activate this effect. And then during your opponent's turn, when they declare an attack, you can destroy the attacking monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponents equals half of the attack that monster had on the field. Really crazy effect, but the maintenance cost is so high, which makes this card unplayable in Duel Links. So during each of your standby phase, you have to banish 10 cards from your deck face down, from the top of your deck actually, and this cost is not optional. You have to pay for it if you can, and if you can't, this card is destroyed. This card is actually really good in the TCG. It sees some play, so you can do a lot of Link summoning and lots of XYZ summoning. This card is crazy there, but right now this card does nothing because we don't have XZ summoning yet, and Link summon is so much far away that makes this card not even viable at the moment. I mean, this card has crazy effect, alright, and with the right cards you might even be able to use the Princess in combo to do OTKs, but that's not really that viable. Then you also can summon Iron Hands, which allows you to search for any warrior monster like the Amazoness Princess. Maybe you can just pair them up and make a deck about it, but after you do that, I think you're just gonna lose because during your standby phase you'll have to pay for that crazy cost. So I don't really think that any of that is really viable. So for those of you who are asking on whether or not you should invest in this box, I'd say no. None of the traps or the monster lineup from the URSR card are actually really that important. Unless you are playing Madolches, then you have to get 3 of each, but if you are not playing Madolches, then there's actually really no point in getting any of the cards from this box. But let's be real, even if you are playing the Madolches, there's just no incentive on playing them given that the Madolche Queen, the XYZ monster, is not here and XYZ summoning is not a thing, so all the big plays from the Madolche's archetype is just non-existent right now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I wouldn't really recommend any of you to get this box because most of the cards in here are just really skippable. Well, might as well just save those 500 gems for something that's actually meta relevant and can carry you through the KC Cup or get you to the King of Games title. And that's it for the video. Thank you very much for watching, and if you guys like the content, make sure to subscribe and I will be posting more videos. Thank you very much for watching again, and goodbye.